Legal Aid Informational Video Series Part 5: Race and Color Discrimination. Scenario 1: Race Discrimination. Tristan, an African American, wanted to live in a luxurious apartment complex near town. After several months of waiting, Tristan learned that a new unit was available. He found the listing online, filled out the application, and waited eagerly for the property manager to contact him. Property manager Luca called Tristan to set up an appointment to view the apartment. On the phone, Luca explained to Tristan that his application looked great and set up an appointment to view the apartment the very next day. When asked if Tristan needed to bring anything specific with him to the appointment, Luca responded, "Nope, everything seems to be in order. I'm excited to see you tomorrow." Excited, Tristan arrived at the property the next day. However, when Luca met him in person, Luca's attitude abruptly changed. Luca stated that he only had 5 minutes to speak with him, even though the phone call indicated it may take up to 30 minutes for the full tour. Nevertheless, Tristan loved what he saw and asked Luca when he could move in. Luca rolled his eyes at Tristan and said, "I don't know, you people aren't very good at paying your rent." He then told him, "I have to think about you. It could take a while." After 3 weeks and no response, Tristan called Luca requesting an update. Luca responded, "Oh yeah, I forgot about you. Well, your application was denied because of a negative reference from your current landlord. We rented to someone else." Subsequently, Tristan discovered the unit was still available online. At the time, Tristan had only lived with one other person, his best friend. He asked his friend about the negative reference. Tristan's friend adamantly stated he wasn't contacted by anyone about Tristan. As a result, Tristan suspects that the real reason for the denial of the apartment was because he is Black. Did Luca violate Tristan's fair housing rights? Yes. It is illegal for housing providers, such as landlords, property managers, real estate agents, brokers, mortgage lenders, and insurance companies, to treat someone differently because of his or her actual race or perceived race, or because the person is multiracial or in a relationship with someone of a different race. Here, Luca's statements are an example of race discrimination. Scenario 2: Race discrimination and retaliation. Alternatively, assume instead that Tristan was offered the unit he originally applied for and moved into the apartment complex shortly thereafter. Tristan loved living at his new unit but continued to experience tension with Luca. Tristan later overheard Luca talking about him to a security guard, saying, "There he is, I told you. He doesn't belong here, and people like him always cause problems." Immediately, Tristan notified Luca's supervisors by explaining he felt he was being treated differently because of his race and explained what Luca said about him. The next day, Tristan received a lease termination notice. Tristan was confused because he never missed a rent payment, never violated house rules, and always tried to be pleasant with his neighbors, even though they didn't treat him the same. Tristan decided to contact someone to learn more about his options under the Fair Housing Act. Was Tristan's fair housing rights violated? Yes. Tristan exercised his fair housing rights by reporting the race discrimination to the management company. Here, the termination notice sent to him the next day is a form of retaliation against Tristan for exercising his fair housing rights. Scenario 3: Color discrimination. Kavika recently moved into a condominium near the beach. Shortly thereafter, Kavika began to notice that all of the tenants had lighter skin than he did. He started to feel uncomfortable living in the building because other tenants would talk about how different and dark Kavika was. He later went to the office to speak to the property manager. The property manager seemed understanding, however, told Kavika, "Well, you kind of don't look like the type to live around here. We are all just used to seeing white, if you know what I mean. Your people tend to live closer to the mountain, right?" Feeling like an outcast, Kavika immediately started to search for a different unit located elsewhere. Were Kavika's fair housing rights violated? Yes. Treating someone differently because of the color of a person's skin, regardless of whether that person has lighter or darker skin, is a violation of fair housing rights. Color discrimination may be closely related to race discrimination and sometimes national origin. In some instances, an act of discrimination against someone could be considered both race and color discrimination. Here, Kavika was treated differently on the basis of his color, and the property manager's statement is an example of color discrimination. If you believe you have been a victim of housing discrimination, you can contact the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii at 808-536-4302 to determine if you qualify for legal assistance.